Something happened to me since retirement that I didn't expect. I've become a lot more independent and I care a lot less about what other people think I should be doing with my life. Not in an angry way, in a calm, clear way. And honestly, it feels incredibly freeing. For most of my life, like many women, I looked outside of myself for guidance. Parents when young, bosses, partners, friends, relatives, and society. Even random people can have an opinion about how you should live your life. You don't often assume you're doing it. You just think that's how life works. You ask for advice, you take on responsibility, you're just trying to do the right thing. You try to be sensible, responsible, practical. They are very grown-up words. But retirement made me realize something. A lot of that guidance was never really mine. One of the biggest things that happened to me during retirement was I had to start making decisions completely on my own. No partner, no one to defer to, no one to blame if things went wrong. And at first that seemed quite confronting. Something rather interesting happened. I realized I could do it. I could actually make decisions for myself. And I started to think, hang on, because when you start making your own decisions, something becomes very clear. A lot of people have opinions about your life, especially when you're an older woman. People will tell you what's practical. Sell your house, stay in your house, move, don't move, do this, do that. But they forget something. They don't have to live with the consequences. You do. They probably only looked at the practical side, but life is not all practical. There's the emotional side as well. Your peace, your stability, your mental health, your physical health, your sense of security, and only you can feel those things, which means only you can truly weigh them up. Let's talk about the martyr myth. The other thing about retirement that made me think is the idea that women are supposed to sacrifice forever, in particular mothers. For years I believed that children come first. Good mothers always sacrifice. You give your time, your energy, your money, your health if necessary. That's what a good mother does. But I started asking questions. How long does that go for? Because at some point, you're allowed to have a life too. You're allowed to have energy for yourself and you're allowed to say no sometimes. And let me tell you something else I realized. There is no medal waiting for you for being a martyr. Nobody shows up at the end and says, congratulations, you exhausted yourself giving to everybody else. You just end up exhausted. And for myself, reality became very clear. I lost my mother when I was quite young. I never really had a father there for me. I spent my whole life standing on my own 2 feet. And yes, I've helped my children many times. I've gone above and beyond. But there comes a time in your life when you think, I have to take care of myself now because no one else is going to do it. That's not bitterness, that's just reality. And when you come to accept this, you start protecting your energy more than ever. But here's the surprising part. Something else has jumped right to the top of my list of priorities in retirement. And it's fun. Yes, fun. Apparently the word fun is supposed to disappear from our vocabulary after the age of even 50. For most of my life, I thought focusing on fun was irresponsible, immature. Something teenagers did. My adult daughter once told me I'd become the world's biggest teenager. I didn't know whether to take that as an insult or a compliment. These days, I take that as a compliment because fun has become a priority. Health, peace, and fun, right up the top. And I'm not guilty about this. Of course, not everyone likes that. When older women start having more fun, it seems to make some people a little bit nervous. I have a friend that used to say, it's all that dancing you're doing. Apparently dancing was responsible for every new physical ailment I had. Never mind that it actually made my knees feel a lot better. But she would say, I don't like those dirty, crowded pubs. You know, the type of people that hang out there. I would invite her along, but she'd say, oh no, that's not for me. Which sort of indicated it might be fine for you, but I'm a little bit too mature and dignified for that sort of thing. Which of course made me want to go dancing even more. Because society likes women in a very particular role. Responsible, quiet, caretakers, nurturers. Always available, always giving, always sensible. But here's the thing, I've done a lifetime of responsibility. I mean a lifetime. These days, I'm far more interested in being responsible for myself. Retirement has given me far more than I expected. And mostly, it's freedom. freedom to make my own decisions, but not just the freedom to make my own decisions, the strength to make my own decisions, and the strength and the confidence within myself to know that I can make good decisions. I can make the right decisions for myself. And then there's the freedom to protect my energy. I've become very protective of my energy. I don't want to waste it, and I'm not letting anybody else waste it. Our health and our energy, I think, are the most valuable commodities that we own. They are no longer up for grabs. People take out insurance for their health. Mentally, I feel like I've taken out my own personal insurance policy for my energy. And then there's freedom to say no. Instead of saying yes all the time, now I often say, I'll see how I feel at the time. I'll think about it. I'll see what happens later. I don't always make immediate commitments unless it's an emergency or I know ahead of time that I really do want to do that and I'll be available for that. I keep a little bit reserved about saying yes now. It's not like I always say no, but I don't feel guilty when I do. If I'm saying no, I know why I'm saying no. And I feel perfectly entitled to do that now that I'm almost 70. And something that is so important, and we can't put a price on this, is the freedom to prioritize peace. As we age, we want to keep our life as drama-free as possible. Peace can become our security. Peace of mind and peace and harmony within our lives and with those around us. And of course, we have the freedom to prioritize having fun. Because if we can't have fun now, when will we have fun? As they say, life is not a dress rehearsal. We don't get those days, weeks, years back. If that makes me the world's biggest teenager again, well, I'm happy with that. Of course, at this stage of our lives, there's something we've all realised. It's our life, and only you can and should live it. I know we've all had different experiences during our retirement, and for many of us, there were surprises, things we didn't expect. Some of them good, some of them not so good, some of them quite bad. That's life, and even though we might not like it, we can all accept that. If you have anything you'd like to add, please leave me comments. I know I'm only a small channel and I'm growing slowly, but I'm going to make lots more videos. I can feel really chuffed when I read comments.